Hello, this is Dr. Syed Mohammad Didarul Alam, instructor of BBT315 Metabolism at North South University. So today we'll start the first lecture of the first lecture of this course. Okay, so to begin, we need to know what is metabolism. Okay, so as you know, metabolism is a very common term, and I think you all are known about the metabolism. So to define, metabolism is a term that is used to describe all the chemical reactions involving in maintaining of living state of the cell and organism. So in other words, you can say metabolism is the sum of all the biochemical reactions that occurs in a living system. Okay, so what are the differences between digestion and metabolism? So here is the energy metabolism, the flow. So the digestion means when we intake food, it breaks down to its monomeric form. Like when you take carbohydrate, it will be breakdown to glucose or fructose or sucrose in other form, and this is the digestion. And from glucose to carbon dioxide and energy, this part is called metabolism. Okay, so I think you will understand. I think the concept is clear. What is the difference between digestion and metabolism? Okay, so metabolism is a central theme in biochemistry, and it keeps all the cell and organism alive by giving them the energy they need to carry on and the building blocks they require for growth and propagation. Okay, so it's a highly coordinated cellular activity in which many multi-enzyme systems are in metabolic pathways are cooperate. So if you consider the metabolic processes, this is the multi-step and interlinked process, and mostly enzyme mediated and coordinated and regulated. So what is the significance of metabolism? The first significance is to obtain chemical energy by capturing solar energy or degrading energy-rich nutrient from the environment. Secondly, to convert nutrient molecules into cells' own characteristic molecules, including precursor of macromolecules. The third is monomerase monomeric precursor into macromolecules like proteins, nucleic acids, and polysaccharides. And fourth one is synthesize and degrade biomolecules required for specialized cellular functions such as membrane lipid, intracellular messengers, and pigments. Okay. Metabolism is also an important theme in medicine and pharmacy. Genetic defects of metabolic enzyme, while not among the most common form of disease, but are common enough to warrant the routine screening of newborns. Knowledge of the metabolic pathways that will be affected by a genetic enzyme defect is important to understand its clinical manifestation and to devise strategies for proper diagnosis and treatment. While metabolic diseases that result from single enzyme defects are comparatively rare, there are metabolic diseases which are much more common, such as diabetes mellitus and gout. Atherosclerosis, which is even more common, is not a purely metabolic disease. However, its initiation and progression are determined to a large extent by metabolic factors. In all these gauges, an understanding of the underlying metabolic aspects is the basis for prevention and treatment. So even with diseases that are not primarily due to metabolic aberrations, metabolic pathways often provide important targets for drug therapy. For example, malignant tumors and autoimmune diseases, which are commonly treated with antimetabolites that disrupt cell proliferation and promote programmed cell death, like apoptosis. Antimicrobial drugs often target enzymes in vital metabolic pathways of bacterial and parasites. Conversely, many drugs that target receptors other than enzymes require for metabolic modification for activation or elimination. From all this, it should be clear that knowledge of metabolism is crucial in medicine. So, knowledge of metabolism is very important to understand the hereditary enzyme defects, to understand diseases like diabetes, atherosclerosis, gout, and to use antimetabolites in the chemotherapy of cancer and infections, and to know how to activate or eliminate xenobiotics and drugs. So To summarize, we can say metabolism is highly coordinated and directed cell activity. The main functions include obtaining chemical energy by degrading energy-rich nutrient from environment or by capturing solar energy, convert nutrient molecules into cell's own characteristic molecules, polymerize monomeric precursor into macromolecules, and synthesize and degrade biomolecules requiring a specialized cellular function. So, we can categorize metabolism. So it's fall mainly in three categories: catabolism, anabolism, and amphibolic pathway. So what is anabolic pathways or anabolism? It involved in the synthesis of larger and more complex compound from a smaller precursor. For example, synthesis of protein from amino acid and the synthesis of reserves of triacylglycerol and glycogen. Anabolic pathways are endothermic, that means they consume energy. And catabolic pathways involve the breakdown of larger molecules into a smaller one, and commonly through oxidative reactions. And these are exothermic and reducing equivalent and mainly via the respiratory chain, and this is releasing energy. And thirdly, amphibolic pathway. It occurs at the crossroad of metabolism, acting as link between anabolic and catabolic pathway, like citric acid cycle. So TCA cycle is an amphibolic pathway. It is involved in both anabolism and catabolism. So simply you can tell anabolism is the metabolic processes that builds up, whereas catabolism is the metabolic processes that break down. There are majorly four basic biomolecules: carbohydrate, lipid, nucleic acid, and proteins. Apart from these four, two more biochemicals that are generally studied. These are coenzyme and minerals. All these molecules plays the most vital roles for proper functioning, coordination, and efficiency of biological system. So here is the image that indicates different types of biomolecules that are involved in various metabolic processes of ligand system. Okay, so here is the overview of metabolism. Okay, so catabolic and anabolic reactions are together. Let's say simple molecules such as glucose, amino acid, and glycerol and fatty acid. Those will go through anabolic reactions, and it will produce complex molecules. And then complex molecules that will go through catabolic reaction, it will produce simple molecules. So in anabolic reaction, heat is consumed, and catabolic reaction, heat is absorbed. Okay, so here you can see energy yielding nutrient, carbohydrate, fat, protein goes through catabolism to produce energy poor metabolites like carbon dioxide, water, and ammonia. In the same time, the energy is released. This energy is deposited in ADP and PI, producing ATPs, NADPH, and precursor molecules like amino acids, sugars, fatty acid, and nucleotides will go through anabolic reactions, will produce macromolecules like nucleic acid, lipids, polysaccharide, proteins, and those are the cellular component. And in this case, the energy will be used up and producing ADP, AMP, NAD.